Often we talk about consent as no means no, yes means yes, but it can be more nuanced than that. How do we understand that no doesn't always need to be articulated for it to be conveyed?
So consent is agreeing to something, right? It's saying, yes, I'm okay with this. However, we need to start framing consent as not just agreeing to something, but it needs to be about understanding what the person in front of you wants. It needs to be about actively desiring something and then agreeing to it in terms of sexual consent. What creates sexual assault in our society is societal forces. We have a few things. We have, one, toxic masculinity becoming mainstream masculinity. And I want to emphasize there is a difference between toxic masculinity and masculinity. I'm not saying that boys are toxic. I'm saying that this side stream of masculinity, which is where men gain their power from three main things. One, being like physically overpowering, good at sport. That's why lots of young boys get in fights and things like that alpha male vibe. Two, their wealth. Our society puts unnecessary pressure on men to be wealthy and successful in their career. And three, their sexual conquest. And I'm saying conquest personally because that is how they are seen. They're seen as activities that you do with people to tick boxes to increase your social status. And those three things have become the norm. Young boys, to gain social status in schools, are exploiting young girls so that they can talk about it on Monday morning with their friends and get societal props from it. And then the other forces that come in is slut shaming, which is just the norm in schools for girls. We're constantly just, gossiped about or talked down upon for sexual experiences, whether they're consensual or not, which is problematic on both ends because we should be empowering females. We should be talking about female pleasure. We should be expressing that female sexuality is a good thing, and having the ability to be able to think that sex is meant to be fun and intimate and good will mean that students will engage in it later when they realise that these early experiences are often not fun and good and that they shouldn't be happening. When you put those things together and then add in our strict gender norms in society, which make it so boys are socialised to expect instant gratification and have their needs catered to, and girls are socialised to be empathetic and submissive, we have an empathy gap. It's the perfect breeding ground for social coercion. It's the perfect breeding ground that puts male satisfaction at the centre of every interaction. And it's the perfect breeding ground for this epidemic of sexual assault that we have Australia-wide.
Is it the case that for some, sexual assault isn't recognised for what it is and is actually recognised as something much more benign?
100%. It's normalised amongst us. We just have this perception of, one, it not being anything bad, or two, thinking of the perpetrator as just like a mean person or a bad person who you want to avoid or just have some bad blood with. And then you learn what consent is, you learn what sexual assault is, and a penny drops, and you realise they're actually a criminal.
Absolutely. And if we look at perhaps, the perpetrator now, is it a lack of awareness or an entitlement on the part of the perpetrator?
Ultimately, these perpetrators are not inherently bad people. They just, in that moment, care about their own sex drive more than the person in front of them. That's the problem.
Hello, I'm Sarah Abo. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our Extra Minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.